What's up, world? It's your boy Carcino here, and I am back. And we're going to show you what happened. What happened to an individual who was supposed to be one of the greatest players to ever come out of college and was supposed to be on the level, being the number one pick, one of the superstars of this league. And John Lucas thought Ricky Davis was supposed to be the end all be all and the best player to come into the league. Playing with Coach Silas and Charlotte. Now you're about to learn everything. Because now the secret is out. It's a lot of interesting parts that were developed here and a lot of things that came out of nowhere. Now, a lot of things people heard about Ricky Davis and him coming into the team and Bobby Fields playing there with Ricky Davis as a young rookie in 98, 99. Right? Ricky Davis was one of the guys that Rick Pitino loved as a player. But things started to change really fast. And we're going to go down that dynamic of that rabbit hole because Ricky Davis went from a veteran player to all of these things that happened around the team with the, with what happened with Bobby Fields. So John Lucas said, not since Michael Jordan, and John Lucas used to hoop, he wasn't just the old guy you see. He said, not since MJ have I seen this much talent. He told Paul Silas, this dude got Jordan-like potential, Ricky Davis. And when he came along, it was must-see TV. Ricky Davis was explosive. He got to Cleveland and just took over. He was offense, offense, offense. Ricky couldn't be stopped. Now, here's the thing about the Ricky Davis situation that many people didn't know, is that it looked like an organizational play. The Cavs gave him a 6-year, $34 million deal. Back then, that was something. And that was done by Jim Paxson. Jim Paxson, who's John Paxson's brother, he was the most famous Paxson before, and the more talented before he came in the league. And they honored him. Ricky was that guy. There was nothing about it. There was no doubts, nothing about it. Now, what you're going to learn is what happened, how everything changed around after they just gave him $34 million to become the guy. And Ricky is like, I'm glad I stayed in Cleveland. That didn't age well. So now what we're going to do is take you guys through the entire scope of all of it. Oh, yeah. Oh, without a heartbeat. The narratives changed right away because Ricky was still lighting it up on the court. They suspended him for scoring. I've never seen anybody suspended for scoring the basketball. The coach is like, it's 5 minutes left. You got to go out there and do your thing. And Ricky was punished for scoring the basketball and trying to get this triple-double. But and then they pushed him at the end. They fined him for that. He got fined for that, for trying to get his first triple-double. So he was labeled as selfish. Yeah, so he got suspended by the team, he was suspended for 2 games for another issue for yelling with the coach. Cleveland was in last place, even though he was balling. So now they ended up Cleveland with this rigged number 1 pick. Everybody is excited. And you see the Gunn family's excited. And they know who they're going to pick with the first pick in the draft. And the Cavs turn around and they select who? LeBron James. LeBron James. He was called the best player in high school basketball. The hype is finally over. And here he come. I come to help our team. We was in last place. And now we in first place. Now, here come the bowl. Now the stage is set. And y'all should get ready. Because now you finna learn the truth. This was the first political move of LeBron James's career. And we're gonna go through this whole scope because it was a massive one. Let's go. Hi, I'm Carcino. Oh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
No one knows Carcino and none of these.
There's so much going on in the world. And I'm just giving my 2 cents on it. Go in and do a raid at someone's house, but you don't have an arrest warrant for them. Wagga, wagga, wagga. Now, we're back. Now, let's get into this. Ricky Davis, right? The man. How could you go from being the man to not even mention it all? How you go from being the one that everybody feared to not mention it all? See, with Ricky, the problems that kept like rearing his head was something very strange. Something that was on a whole different wavelength as far as what other people are thinking about. You know, their brains are not they're on a whole different spectrum. They're not able to process all of the things that are transpiring, that are moving forward when they come to processing information, especially when it came to Ricky Davis. And the LeBron James situation just really got out of control. And the players and everybody wasn't really happy with his being there, with LeBron James being drafted. But this was the reason that they finished last and won 17 games. It wasn't because Ricky was scoring too much and giving them a chance to win games. The attitude was to tank games. Ricky wasn't about that. So the poison started the year prior. They knew Kenny Atkinson was not the coach for LeBron James. So he had to be the scapegoat right off the bat. Oh, this is so much dirty politics. LeBron isn't the only one, but he played a very key role. Oh, they know what they do. It's all politics. and they all play this game and try to act like everybody's hands isn't dirty. Well, if we're gonna look at it, we got to look at it from the hourglass perspective. Um, no. LeBron Ramon James, man, when he got there, it all erupted.
With the number 1 pick.
We have better players than him in his position already on our team, though. His potential is probably the sky's the limit for him, though.
I don't think you can really just bring a high school player in and really just think your team gonna really turn around like that. If he come, you know what I'm saying, he can just hop on our bandwagon and hopefully we can do something big.
And Ricky would.
Ricky was the same way. Ricky didn't believe because the rest of the team thought like
Young fella wasn't ready to, win us a championship. So I figured I'm gonna just keep doing me. I really don't care who on the floor.
To make things even.
Yeah. So once he came to this realization, Paul Silas signed with the Cavaliers. So he came in to be able to coach LeBron James. This is the reason he was brought in. Paul Silas was in the top categories for coaches and jobs and being moved around. They wanted Paul Silas not to take the Pistons job, which was going to go to Larry Brown. The Pistons took Larry Brown. Cleveland ended up with Paul Silas. And that was instrumental because we ended up going to the championship and winning it. Now, LeBron James, who is a rookie coming into the league, already doesn't have the trust of his team. So when you see someone who comes in and don't have the trust of the team, oh, you know what time it is. Come on. Well, Jim Paxson was the GM. John Lucas, who thought this was the greatest player since MJ to take over. That's why he had Ricky Davis. And that's why John Lucas was there. So they went from Randy Whitman, who was their guy, and they said, okay, that ain't working. We had John Lucas as the coach. So they fired John Lucas when they were 8-34. And then they brought in Keith Smart to finish the season. So the assistant, Keith Smart, just took over the rest of the season. They said this ain't working. Plus, John Lucas was not going to – Kenny Atkinson wasn't ready to be able to coach LeBron. So you got one person that can coach LeBron James at this said time, and that is Paul Silas. Now, Paul Silas comes in and runs an entire different structure. He's normally no nonsense, but they groomed him on how to deal with LeBron James by talking to his high school coach and say, you got to treat him with kid gloves. He's a young rookie. Y'all putting a lot of pressure on him, but he's also very sensitive. This was from his high school coach when they were trying to get a grip on how should they handle LeBron James. And everybody catered to this ego. Now, let's get to this. LeBron comes in wanting to fit in, but all this chosen one talk was getting on their nerves. Ricky Davis assisted him, the guy they said was the most selfish player. They went out, put up a storm. Then LeBron played bad against Portland. He had 8 points for the whole game. And everybody blamed Ricky Davis. They said Davis chewed out LeBron James during the game in Portland after James chose to drive instead of passing the ball to Ricky Davis. This came several run-ins with Coach Paul Silas, who kicked Davis out of practice one day and banned him from the road trip. A short time later, Davis was then traded to the Celtics. It did not happen like that at all. Now, LeBron looked average when they cut off the passing lanes. He was reluctant to shoot the jump shot. He didn't feel comfortable if he wasn't slashing in transition. So now that he wasn't slashing in transition and going through these different tunnels and these narratives, now everything's going to be revealed. Because LeBron is just trying to play ball, man. He's not trying to come out here and be this guy that's torpedoing somebody's, career. It's not like that at all.
Man, you got to stop kind of yelling at the young fella. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Next thing you know, I'm not in the game. I never go back in the game. That whole game, he didn't put me back in the game. I go back the next game. Same thing, getting buckets. I think I came out, scored 15 points in the first quarter. He takes me out again. And I'm like, Coach, what's going on? And he like, you keep yelling at the young fella. He said the same exact thing. So I sat down next to him. I said, so what you mean yelling at the young fella? What are you talking about? You can't cuss him out. I'm like, Coach, what are you talking about?
But
so, again, they take Ricky Davis out of the game for scoring. For scoring the basketball. He got 15 in the first quarter. They snatched Ricky Davis out of the game. They snatched him out of the game because the NBA has spent over $20 million marketing LeBron James. They want LeBron James, even in losses, to be the focal point of the team. But this is not what they told Ricky. Ricky's making $34 million. You just signed him. They told Ricky, LeBron is going to be assisting you the ball. He's going to be a guy to help break down the team and kick you the ball and get all these assists. That's what was the dynamic. They started the season off. That was the plan of LeBron James. When they went through preseason, when they went through the camp, they was like, LeBron's just going to make it easier for you, Ricky. So you ain't got to handle the ball all the time. LeBron going to bring it up. He's fast. He get down the court, zip, 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 find him. And he's just going to make it easy for you, Ricky. That was the plan. They told this to Ricky in practice. Him, Darius Miles, all these people, they were going up. It was no problem. LeBron was giving them the ball. They was rolling in practice. And he was like, yeah, this young fella, man, he got a lot of energy. He can get up. And, man, he could jump out the gym like me. So he was like, oh, man, we finna put on the show. So Darius Miles is like, hey, don't forget about me. He'll give him that, hey, don't forget, I'm out here. So now Darius Miles has become trade bait. And he's like, they're going to try to get me up out of here. I already know it for the young fella. And he was like, that's it. It's cool. I see what they on. So all of these decisions had to make it. The thing is Ricky didn't follow the script. Ricky didn't get the script. Ricky was told to be the star. He the closer. I'm the star player. LeBron James is the new face. He's the rookie. I'm the star player of the team. They're telling me he gonna make it easier for you. Now, here it is. I'm too rough on him. I can't talk to the guy. Where do they do this at?
Silas takes me out, and he's like, he take me out. I'm like, what's up, coach? He like, man, you gotta stop kind of yelling at the young fella. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Next thing you know, I'm not in the game. I never go back in the game. That whole game, he didn't put me back in the game. I go back the next game, same thing, getting buckets. I think I came out, scored 15 points in the first quarter. He takes me out again. And I'm like, coach, what's going on? And he like, you keep yelling at the young fella. He said the same exact thing. So I sat down next to him. I said, so what you mean yelling at the young fella? What are you talking about? You can't cuss him out. I'm like, coach, what are you talking about?
But it wasn't just Coach Silas who shared doubt.
Yep. So the writers in the press started to write negatively about Ricky Davis. And then Ricky Davis kept getting benched. And they said, oh, we cussed him out. And then this is where it got crazy, ladies and gentlemen. This is where it gets crazy. I want y'all to see this.
Guys, as well as help mold LeBron into being the face of the NBA, because Davis was suspended for 2 games because of his unwillingness to work with James.
We call a meeting. He like, Rick, they decided they want to try to suspend you for a game or 2. So I'm like, what? What you mean? For what? Like, for what? Like, what you mean? Like, now I'm really tripping. Like, what you mean? Suspend me? They like, you being detrimental to the team. You've been cussing LeBron out. They say you've been cussing LeBron out. Man, they go get LeBron. LeBron don't even know this going on here. Man, look, I say, hold on, Bron. They say I just interrupted LeBron. They say I cussed you out. He said, huh? You ain't never cussed me out. I said, they keep saying I cussed you out and I'm yelling at you or something like that. He said, you ain't cussed me out. I don't know what they talking about. I got up and left.
Therefore, the Cavs would all.
Now, Ricky got up and left the meeting. Now, why do you think that went down in that way? LeBron, that meeting went down. That wasn't supposed to happen in front of LeBron James. LeBron James just happened to arrive and been walking past the door while they were having the meeting. Ricky is hearing them saying, you know, you always cussing LeBron out. And, you know, he ain't with, you know, you keep cussing him out. You detrimental to the team. And they're creating this narrative. Now, LeBron comes by and he stops LeBron. See, that's what you didn't hear. That's the part that's edited out. LeBron wasn't in there. They didn't call LeBron in there. They were like, no, we're not going to call LeBron in. And he saw LeBron just happened to be walking by. He go, Bron. And he's like, yeah. He's like, come here, man. He said, yeah, they said I cussed you out. And I'm cursing you out all the time. He was, huh? Yeah, they said I'm cussing you out. What's up with that? When have I ever cussed? He's like, you ain't never cussed me out. I don't know what they talking about. I don't know what they're talking about. So he gets up and walks out. Ricky Davis gets up and walked out. So they create this narrative because they want to get rid of Ricky Davis. They want to get him out of there.
To punch in Cleveland.
Now, Ricky Davis was like, look, y'all trying to get rid of me. Just own up to it. But y'all using LeBron as the gas to try to do it because y'all want to make this kid the star. Fine, move me. That's not a problem. But don't lie and destroy my name in the media, in the press, to make it look like I'm a problem to try to glorify the move y'all finna make. Y'all want to get rid of me? Cool. I'm the problem. I'm in the way. Cool. Move me. That's how he felt. Just go and do what you're going to do. But quit trying to destroy me in the media, because that's going to all these other NBA coaches in the world. They weren't jealous. They just knew of the hype. You know, all these high school players come in the league hyped up, and it take them time. Darius Miles is a high school player. It took him years to get developed to be ready for the NBA. So to hype him up like he's the king and coming in, the NBA was doing too much. It was quite disrespectful to the players that was already there, saying he's already the best player on the team, and he ain't even played a game in the NBA yet. You know, it was quite disrespectful. So if it was Carlos Boozer, all of them, they was really like, you know, like he's a high school player. He could fit in the system, but him taking over the whole league and stuff in one, it's like, come on. Y'all being ridiculous. And they were being ridiculous. So now, here it is. The narrative changed again. And Ricky Davis said, I felt like it was supposed to be a 1-2 punch. You know, I was establishing myself with the team last year, and I thought LeBron was just going to be another addition to the team, helping me score. I guess it was different. I'm coming over here now, running behind Paul Pierce, who's getting me open shots and playing my kind of game. And that's how he felt. Like, good. Give me with somebody who's seasoned and a real, you know, person that can go ahead and do all this to help better my game. What he didn't know was this whole strategic move was done only for the purpose of LeBron James. And it was really LeBron James' decision in complaining that he needed Ricky gone. He needed Ricky Davis out of the way. And was like, man, he messed it up. He ain't moving the ball. He ain't moving the ball. He ain't moving the ball. This came out later when they interviewed Jim Paxson in 2022, when they was talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers, when he was there and what was happening and the decisions they made and pairing him with Ricky Davis. And he said, well, that was good for his, you know, coming into his years, but Ricky, who's an established scorer, you know, and, you know, he's in the way of LeBron, and him and LeBron that wasn't going to be something that could last. So we need to find a guy that could be, you know, counterable, like Mo Williams, somebody that LeBron could mentor and be under. But we needed LeBron to first be with a pro veteran, like, you know, like Ricky Davis, to get established. So that was the whole trip with them, is to get them established. That's what the whole play was. So Jim Paxson was fired also. Paul Silas is fired. They brought him over to mentor LeBron. He got into it with LeBron. Now, after they got rid of Ricky Davis, Paul Silas was his original coach in Charlotte. So when they brought Paul Silas over to be with Ricky Davis, this is why Ricky was like, this was the game plan, Paul. This was the plan. Me and you, LeBron gonna help you out. This was the plan. We would have been great. What happened? And he told him, there's business, and then there's NBA business, and then there's the game. NBA business was bigger than the business of the Cleveland Cavaliers. So the NBA business, they need LeBron to be the face, not Ricky Davis. Paul Silas' words to Ricky. They don't need you. They need LeBron James. This was years after this was over. And he learned it wasn't the way it went down. This wasn't the ownership really pushing for this. This wasn't Coach Silas. Coach Silas had to go and run this and run with the narrative like, you cussing the young fella out, man. You got us. He's like, what are you talking about, Coach? I'm not cussing nobody out. I'm not talking to him. So they wanted to create this static between LeBron and Ricky Davis so that Ricky wouldn't like him, so they would have to move him. This was all part of the plan because LeBron didn't feel comfortable with Ricky Davis, wanted to make a change. Oh, yeah. And they was like, man, we don't want him to feel comfortable that when he's a free agent, he leaves and go to another team because he's playing with Ricky Davis and he can't deal with it. So then next year, Paul Silas called LeBron out. Ricky Davis ain't there no more. LeBron, they were over 500. They were 34-30. They were 4 games over 500. They were playing well. He cursed at LeBron, or what he told LeBron and held him accountable. And LeBron was like, man, coach is just always on me, man. I don't know. I don't know, man. He goes to Jim Paxson, who's the general manager, and tells Jim he doesn't know. Leon Rose is representing LeBron James. So Leon Rose tells Jim Paxson, he says, what are you doing? Are you ready to ruin your organization and lose billions of dollars that you're going to make off this kid? And he's like, what's the problem? He says, you know Paul Silas is the problem. He's too old. He got an old mindset with the game. And you got to be careful how you dealing with LeBron. You know, I told you, he's emotional, fragile guy. You want this guy to go to another team. He's thinking about not re-signing with the Cleveland Cavaliers in free agency. Then you're going to lose the biggest asset you ever had. And this guy's going to be the face of the sport one day. Are you really willing to blow this up? So Leon Rose talks to Jim Paxson. And Jim was like, well, he's like, look, you're going to have to make a move. He's like, we're over 500. This is the best record we've had in years. We got a chance of making the playoffs. He's like, LeBron doesn't want to play with him. And LeBron's shoulder's been acting up, so he might sit out the rest of the season. Then playing with Paul Silas. This is Leon Rose, LeBron's agent. Yeah, you like a guy like that. Threatening to sit a player down. So the Gunn family definitely wasn't going to lose LeBron James. And once they didn't want to do it, Jim Paxson, the Gunn family got involved and said, what's the holdup? They were like, he didn't want to do what he was supposed to.
As they had hoped the pair would become a deadly one.
He's like, he didn't want to do and pass the ball up to Ricky Davis. I mean, to Paul Silas. He don't want to work with Paul Silas no more. And they were like, and so they got rid of the guy. Oh, shouts out to my Detroit Pistons and Asua Thompson handling business tonight, even though they tried to screw us over. And they couldn't do it. Thought we were going to lose to Portland. Really? So now everything's in an uproar, right? Everybody's pissed. He has to let go of Paul Silas, who he knew it was wrong. Brendan Malone takes over from the last 18 games of the season. Season was almost over. They're like, why can't we just finish the season? No, they go 8-10. Brendan Malone and Michael Malone was basically subservient to Paul Silas. They was the assistant coaches to Paul Silas. This is why Mike Malone hates LeBron to this day. He saw it created that season, that second year of LeBron James' playing career. We were not privy to it. This is why Mike Malone hates his guts. So, right there and in there, his father's trying to coach LeBron and said, LeBron, why don't you try it this way? And he was like, all right, yeah, whatever. Whatever is what he said to the coach, to Brendan Malone. And then he says, he told somebody else to bring the ball up, who was the point guard for God at the time. He told him to bring the ball up and said, LeBron, just try it our way for me. You're pushing too hard. They're setting the trap for you. He's not seeing the trap. LeBron continued to bring the ball up. So when he called a play and LeBron didn't run it, he called a timeout and pulled LeBron out. Brendan Malone, LeBron sat down, pissed. In the next game, LeBron James said he wasn't going to play. And they said, LeBron, we got 18 games out. Play the 18 games out, and don't worry, we're getting a new head coach. They won't be back next year. So he says, you could do whatever you want. So LeBron pretty much did not talk to Brendan Malone or Mike Malone. Talk to them like they were nothing. He would go in the huddle, go, and just go out there and play however he wanted. And they told Brendan and Mike that, yeah, we're going to make a move. We appreciate you. But, LeBron and the team wants to go in another direction. And Brendan Malone told Jim, he said, Jim, this guy is uncoachable. What are we doing here? Jim says, I have no idea. This is not my decision. So Jim Paxson was fired right along with Jim Paxson was gone. LeBron got Ricky Davis, Paul Silas, Mike Malone, Brendan Malone, Jim Paxson, all gone. All gone. In his second year in the league. Oh, this ain't no changing, bro. This is facts. In his second NBA season, LeBron James got rid of 5 people, including the general manager. They knew LeBron was the problem. In his second NBA season, that's never been done. Of course, Jim Paxson was a better player than John. He was taller. He was a taller John Paxson when he played with Bird and those guys. Yeah, the general manager too, after they got Jim Paxson to fire everybody, and he's like, man, I don't want to fire them. I know what the problem is, but he's like, we're getting better. Why are we finna fire people and we're playing better? They were playing better. There were 4 games over 500, the 18 games left, and you want us to fire the coach, and then we go under 500 for the rest of the season. It was terrible decision. Terrible decision. All because he was holding LeBron James accountable. So now they bring in Danny the Hitman Ferry. Racist Danny Ferry. So they bring in the racist Danny Ferry over to be the GM. Yeah, we all know about Danny Ferry and his emails, his racist emails he sent out, but don't matter in the NBA. So Danny Ferry is the GM, and he brings in Mike Brown. You see? You get it now? You get it, Outlaw? Leon Rose complains to Jim Paxson. Jim Paxson wasn't getting the message. They get a new GM, Danny Ferry. Leon Rose is happy. And they bring in who? CAA's own Mike Brown. who's a buddy of Leon Rose, who also represented him as an agent. You didn't know that, did you? You didn't know that. You didn't know that. You didn't know that. So his client that he used to represent from CAA is now coaching LeBron James, his other client from CAA, Mike Brown. See how things come full circle? Don't worry, we're going to get there. But now you see how this thing was starting, right? Now you see where it was started, where the seeds was planted. Now Ricky Davis is going to the playoffs with Boston. He's having a record year. He's putting up numbers, and the coach from them are like, we can't believe all of the lies they've been telling us about Ricky Davis. They said Ricky Davis was a problem. Y'all said this guy was a problem. LeBron James played against him in that first game and was scared to death. He was scared to look at Ricky Davis. He acted like a little kid on a string. When that trade was done and Ricky went out there, he did his thing. It's not a narrative. It's called facts, outlaw. Narratives are not, is one thing. But when you make a statement that's factual, it's not a narrative. So he went from playing behind him to playing with
a rookie, you know, that's now the greatest guy in the game. For me, I just couldn't do it at that moment. You know, now if it would have been somewhere where LeBron is old and he's established and this and that, now I'm going to play and rock with the guy all day, you know, but I would rather go get traded over here and play with Paul Pierce. Somebody's established, somebody I know we trying to win the championship, somebody that knows the culture of what we want.
And their head coach, Jim O'Brien.
Yeah, Jim O'Brien, who couldn't believe Ricky Davis was what they said about him. They said Ricky Davis was never going to be an asset with Cleveland Cavaliers because he was jealous of LeBron James' hype. He was not willing to play Scottie Pippen to the man destined to be the Cavaliers' Michael Jordan. That was never how they saw it. The Knicks turned into the New York CAA. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Now, Ricky Davis was a nobody. Wow, really? Tell you don't know anything about basketball. And all this stuff, you simply can't win with Ricky Davis. They's like, he's doing everything we could possibly expect of him in a new situation. They had him coming off the bench as a six man. They's like, we've been very pleased with the way he has progressed to this point. They couldn't understand what everybody was talking about. He was the exact opposite. Ricky Davis they was like, he's working to change his reputation. His reputation was ruined for the legacy of LeBron James. And LeBron played a huge part in ruining this man's legacy. But nobody wants to acknowledge that. He says, I'm lying. The year Dan Gilbert took over the team and he wanted to put his imprint on the team, and he fired Silas and everyone in the front office. He didn't consult with LeBron. Oh, buddy, you are definitely believing the false implications of the story. It don't really work that way. He wanted to get rid of and start fresh. It had nothing to do with LeBron. You don't fire a coach with 18 games to go in the season because you felt that you want to get a new start and change. You could do that at the end of the year. It's 18 games to go in the season. Why are you firing the head coach? And you don't think that had anything to do with the player? You see how they get you? You see? That's how they get you. They get you caught on a string, and they get you believing things that just isn't true. Yeah, well, no, it would never go down that way. See, Ricky, I don't know why everybody crying about it. Yes, he cried. That's why they had to get rid of the coach. They would have done it at the end of the year. Anything else just don't even make sense. That is a player's decision. That is a player's decision. That has nothing to do with what in the world you talking about. That is a player's decision. He didn't want to play with him anymore. And he didn't want to play with another game where Paul Silas is going to be his coach. Well, Ricky looked at it saying at that time, for what they're trying to pull off, if they're going to do that, then it's best to move me, because it don't make sense if we got a game plan and y'all want to change the game plan to make LeBron James Michael Jordan when he's not in his first year in the league. That doesn't make sense. You're not going to win like that. And we trying to get to the playoffs and win game. Like, we trying to turn this thing around, and we got the pieces to do it. They got Boozer out of there and brought in Drew Gooden. They had to get rid of Booze. His testosterone was too high. Him and Bron weren't going to get it well. They had to get Drew Gooden in there, another docile player. Drew Gooden was good, but he was soft. Cleveland and their owners, I mean, they have a horrible track record with ownership. Yeah. Jordan transformed this entire league. And what's his name? Ted Steppen. He was looked at as the worst owner in pro sports history. Ted Stipend. You ain't gonna ever find anybody who will tell you. I think they made the sniping rule. That's what they called it, the sniping rule. He gave away all his first round picks, drafts. It was like, what kind of owner is this? Like, he just torpedoed the team. He got rid of everything. They made a rule that you couldn't do that no more. The sniping rule. He just completely torpedoed his own team. And he bought the team. Let me tell you, Cleveland was first bought in for $3.7 million in 1970 by Nick, what's his name, Mettinelli. So after Nick Mettinelli, it started to flip. Yeah, Stuart Thompson. That's why I say you never know on the Pistons who's gonna beat you. We was beating them on the offensive boards. We was all over the glass. That's Pistons is get it through the mud type of team. They y'all not ready for that. The Knicks ain't ready for that. But we gonna show them. Each day go by, that clock is ticking. So when they sold the team, they sold it. Have you ever seen somebody buy an NBA team for less money? He had the team for 10 years and sold it for $2 million to Ted Stipend. He was only the owner for 3 years before the NBA made him have to get rid of it. And that's when the Gunn family came in. And the Gunn family, they had the Gunn Arena. They came through and they were really happy to, go down the road they were going. They took over and they bought it for $20 million. That's how much it was worth in 83. It went from $2 million in 1980 to 3 years later being worth $20 million. That was due to the Magic and Bird. They were able to increase the productivity of the sport and grow it from a $2 million, $3 million to a $20 million business. Then from 83 to 2005, which is called the Jordan era, the team was sold for $375 million. So as you can see, Jordan raised the value way high. Dan Gilbert came in 2005 and they said, oh, well, Jim Paxson was replaced because Dan Gilbert bought the team in 2005. LeBron was going to be his corner piece. And whatever happens, this is his first time as an owner. He's going to appease LeBron James. He's going to build a team around LeBron. That's his goal. Oh, absolutely. See, when you build around LeBron James, you got to understand what LeBron James is in actuality. So now Danny Ferry takes over. They win 50 games the very next year. Like they weren't in line to win 50 games the previous year. They make it look like it's the new ownership. They were 34-30 with 18 games to go under Paul Silas before you fired him. Now you bring another coach in, Mike Brown, and you second in the division. You win 50 games, and you're like, all right, this is where we going. And then you beat the Washington Wizards in the first round. Then you lose, of course, to the Pistons, going 7 games against the Pistons. And, of course, we put you out because you're a bunch of bums. Shouldn't have been there in the first place. But it was the growth, right? This is the coming out party of LeBron James. Big celebration for LeBron. So the very next year, as they take over the team, They once again have the exact same record. 50 wins, 32 losses. Same record as they had in 2005. Right? Except for this time, they beat Washington again. They beat the New Jersey Nets. And then they beat the Pistons in 6 games and go and play San Antonio and get swept. So in his second year of ownership, they get a Cleveland Cavalier team to the NBA Finals. So what happens the next year? They lose 5 games less, right? 2007, 2008. What happens this season? The Big Three is formed. So now the Big Three is formed with where you have, what's his name over there on the team? Right? Kevin Garnett, you trade Ricky Davis off the team after sending him over there to play with KG. 3 years later, you move him over from there and leave Ricky Davis out there. What do you want me to say, Mario Gibson? LeBron James is black. He used to could jump out the gym and dunk the basketball. Could run real fast for his height and size. He had great athleticism. You happy now, Mario? Are you happy? Did that do it for you? You feel good now? And can we get back to the show? Now, no consistency. Consistency is doing the same thing repetitively. So if I was consistent, doing what I'm doing is being consistent. Oh, man, they need help. Now, anyway, going down this road, it all checks out. It hurts nobody to look it up. So now they go ahead and they win 5 less games in 2007 and 2008. The team still finished second in the Central Division. They haven't won a division yet. And they beat Washington again for the 3rd straight year in a row. They beat the Washington Wizards. And then they play Boston and they go out in 7 games. Boston wins the championship. You know what happens, right? They beat the Lakers or whatever. And that was that. The next year, the Cleveland Cavaliers finally win the Central Division. They first time ever doing it. It took LeBron 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5, 6, 7 years. Right? Well, whatever, 5, 6, 7, whatever. He finally won 66 games. They were 66-16. Any team that wins 63, 64 games, they normally win a championship or go to the NBA Finals. That's it. You rarely see a team win 66 games in the regular season and is on fire. They were the favorite to go up against Kobe and the Lakers, and it's LeBron and Kobe. They got the puppet show. You got all that happening, right? Danny Ferry's the GM. He got the team built around you, the whole nine. You beat the Pistons in the first round, swept them. You swept the Atlanta Hawks. You didn't lose not one game in the playoffs till you got to Orlando. And when you got to Orlando, it was out in 6 games, which was almost 5. If LeBron didn't hit some lucky, fluky shot for 3, y'all would have been out in 5. Ridiculous. Now, it turns around, it flips around again, and you have in 2009, 2010, it flips on his head again, and now you win 61 games, still 61 wins, and they say LeBron had no help. Now, here it is again. You won 61 games. The owner is doing everything possible to help you. You beat the Bulls 4-1 in the first round. Gone. Then you play Boston in the second round. And you're gone. You play the defending champions. Well, they weren't the defending champs that time. KG got hurt for the season, and then that was it. They were done, and when they lost Orlando. But go. And now Boston is playing the Lakers. Lakers win the NBA championship. Then LeBron decides, I'm taking my talents to South Beach. Why are you going to turn your back on the man that helped you, that brought you up? Why did you do that? Meanwhile, Ricky Davis had to rebuild his career after you sabotaged him. Come to find out, LeBron was the one that did want to play with him. Told Leon, man, something's got to happen, man. Because he had 8 points in a game. He didn't score double digits. He struggled. And rather saying, I got to get better, it's all on me. The excuse was Ricky Davis. He wouldn't take responsibility for the fact that they cut off the lanes. Portland said, all right, cut the lanes off on this boy. We're going to keep him in a half-court game. We ain't going to let that boy get a running start. Close them lanes and them gaps. Force him to shoot jump shots all night. LeBron was terrible. He scored 8 points. And he was embarrassed. And he going to blame Ricky Davis for the whole thing. So, as y'all can see, all this secret involvement is revealed. He was completely complicit. Leon Rose was 100% complicit. And what happened? LeBron stabbed Leon Rose right in the back when he got to Miami and decided only a couple of years there, and when he went back to Cleveland, that he was going to sign with Rich Paul to represent him and be his manager and agent. Yeah, after LeBron, who went to South Beach, right? What happened to Danny Ferry? Danny Ferry, who got LeBron everything he wanted, was gone the very next season. Byron Scott became the head coach. And they brought Chris Grant to be the general manager. They just brought anybody on the team to run it. They was rebuilding from scratch. You let LeBron James go, and you got nothing for LeBron James. You let him become a free agent and did not trade him at any point to get something back for you. You just let him go as a free agent, put on a show, and decide where the hell he wanted to go. All in the offseason. So Cleveland got nothing out of the deal. They got scallywagged. But the NBA is going to atone because this was an NBA decision. So when they start doing that, LeBron James and the decision that was the worst thing LeBron ever did, wrong. That was the NBA. And they dumped it on LeBron when people turned around and said, how selfish and stupid was that? And they blamed the decision all on LeBron when it was sponsored on ESPN. ESPN is the one that hosted this whole thing. And they act like they didn't have anything to do with it. That LeBron just went up there on a podium and did it all by himself. No, it was all them. And to compensate, not trading LeBron since he wasn't agreeing to re-sign with Cleveland at the All-Star break, wanting to wait to the end of the year. So now Cleveland gets nothing. The NBA's like, we're going to make it up to you. Don't worry. You're going to rebuild. You're going to be all right. We're going to make sure you get a great pick. Who would they get? Kyrie Irving. They got Kyrie Irving. So they made it up to him. The league did that. We just saw that happen again. We haven't saw that deal go down since Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers. That's what I told you. I've seen this show before. We've seen these deals done. And how is Dallas repaid? Oh, Dallas gets the number 1 pick. What a surprise. No surprise. Now they get who? Cooper Flag, who they could build around. They're going to stick Rookie of the Year on him, and they're going to try to build him into a champion in Dallas. You got one white guy for another white guy. You're right back where you want to be. And we blamed the black guy for the whole thing and kicked him on out. See, it was this black guy's fault. We got him out of here. So they love that in Dallas. I knew it was that number of Negro. We gave him an opportunity, and look what he did. We took him in off the streets and making him a general manager, and look what he managed to do. He crippled the team. We gave him an opportunity, and that's what he happened. But now we got a good, wholesome American white boy this time. Now he's American. He's American now. Cooper Flag. You can't get no whiter than Cooper Flag. That name alone just says white. Cooper Flag. You can't get a more whiter name than Cooper Flag. That is just it. Like when they had the Suicide Squad, Colonel Rick Flag, I was like, oh, you can't. That's perfect. You can't get no whiter than Rick Flag. You can't. It's so obvious. All right. It's obvious. They don't even try to hide it from you no more. They're not going to kayfabe none of this stuff. They're like, look, WWE didn't expose themselves. They might as well come out and expose themselves too, that they didn't scripted this whole damn thing. Just you're not ruining nothing. Well, I guess it does ruin sports bets. People still gonna bet because you don't know which way they're gonna go. Of course, he was the plan. Parker Lewis can't lose. Nico was a plant. He was planted by the league. And because of it, you saw all the stuff that happened. So what about Ricky? Right? What about Ricky? Changed his reputation. Ricky came into Boston, put on the show, looking like Kobe White. He came out there, did Cleveland in, and they finished better than Cleveland. Him and Paul Pierce put on a show. It was going back and forth. Doc got fired from Orlando, was brought over there to Boston to be the coach. And they changed it, and he was like, man, building around Ricky Davis seems like the best move to go. We need to build around Ricky Davis. Yeah, and Ricky was like, my game is just matured. I was young. Now I'm more poised. I'm more poised in my position. I know what I need to do and how I need to go about getting there. So he was a model citizen on and off the court. He never was a problem. Only when he played with LeBron James did this narrative come out of nowhere. Yeah, that was wild. He missed that, threw this between his leg dunk to come back, just do a windmill. I remember that. Every big shot was made by Ricky Davis. He was second, and in 2005, they put him as the starter with Paul Pierce. He was back into the starting lineup. Doc Rivers is like, we need him in the starting lineup. And the Pacers won again. And what's that? 5 games? That was a crazy series because I remember, no, they went 7 games because Ricky Davis went off in this game. Indiana was going to close it out at home. No, you're not. No, you're not. Ricky Davis. No, you're not. So Boston. So they had a game 7, and that's when they were broke. They couldn't hit nothing in Boston. So Indiana won, and that was that. And Ricky Davis and Paul Pierce, they put on a show, but they just couldn't get it done. They kept going to the playoffs and losing to the Pacers. Ricky. That's what I'm saying. Ricky Davis was, I don't know, this other guy talking about he wasn't all that. Ricky Davis was incredible, man. And they sent him over there in free agency. He went over there to play with KG. And that's when he really was stepping his conditioning up. And he was ready to go to war with KG on the court every day. And that's what made it work, man. He was essential. You need more players like Ricky Davis in the league. But Wally Zerbiak and KG couldn't get along. So they had to split that up. To keep KG happy, they traded. They didn't even want to trade him, and they ended up having to trade Wally Zerbiak. Wally World. It was like Wally World. Man, if KG, like, if you don't get this mother up out of here, I'm going to choke somebody. If y'all don't get this Wally Zerbiak guy up out of here, somebody going to get hurt. It's either me or him, because he didn't like the way they had Spreewell was gone. Your wing keeps Spree. He's been here the whole time watching players just go. And that wasn't going to sit well with him. So they traded and brought Ricky Davis over there. Yes, sir. And, KG introduced him to his workout program. How he be running in soft sand on the beach, getting ready for the season. So Ricky was like, man, I got to get like that. The team struggled. And that was just all I could tell you. The team struggled. It was just bad. It was 33-49. It was terrible. I mean, Ricky had big games. KG had big games. They just weren't a good team. Yeah, when they had Cassell, they was ready. Man, they was good. Because it took them a while to get back after Marbury was gone. Sam I Am was good for him. Yeah, they just could. They weren't good, and they was put in the wrong place. So all of these things started to happen. So he left at the end of the season, went back to Miami. First time he was there, him and Pat Riley didn't get along. Now the second time around, he playing with D Wade, Shaq. They just won the NBA championship. So he going into a championship environment with the Heat. He just got the championship that pretty much was given to him. And now here they come trying to get another. And now they got Ricky Davis on the team. He's coming there to help out. And things just went left from 21 Jump Street because there was too many problems going on. Ricky wasn't a problem. Ricky, as you can see, Ricky was never a problem. Ricky Davis was not the problem. That is what they call a scalpel job of an interview. They take one part of it, and you see only one part was quoted. He was tired of losing. Now, you have to take in consideration to what Ricky Davis said prior to saying tired of losing. As you can see, that's not what he wanted. Mourning was out for the season. Shaq tore his knee up. D Wade was out for the season. He had 2 surgeries. Team was done. They were done. And so was Pat Riley as being a head coach. And Ricky Davis was now going to the Clippers. Yep, Shaq and Pat Riley started beefing. He traded Shaq immediately, and after that, it was like Shaq's gone. Shaq was out of there, and then D Wade was injured, had to end his season, had knee surgery. Lonzo Mourning tore his knee up, was career ending for him, and that was it. That was the end, and that was basically it for Ricky Davis. He played journeyman, then he played overseas. He was in the G League for a while. But Ricky Davis, man, it was one of those guys who never, ever hated on LeBron. He was never mad or bitter at LeBron, even when he became the best player in the league. And even that interview that you had with Ricky Davis, you can't even find it no more. That audio I just played was probably the only existing audio of that interview. Like, to find that full interview is a needle in a haystack. Yeah, so just keep that in consideration, especially when you're thinking about the greatest players to ever do it. Ricky Davis was definitely one of the best players to ever do it. And not only that, he was essential at what he was able to bring to the table, and his valuability was through the roof. It's just a shame that I didn't even know at the time what was going on. Like, I never imagined that LeBron was the main culprit in getting rid of Ricky Davis. I thought like the ownership decided it, but it wasn't really just that. The NBA is like, if LeBron is unhappy, we have to keep him happy. And he's the new Jordan, he's the new excitement. We're looking at what they're saying is the next 10 to 15 years. They didn't think this was going to turn into 40 years. Damn near. Yeah, you got to keep him happy. Yes, of course he's better than LeBron. He had skills. LeBron has no skills. So when you have somebody who doesn't have skill set and versus somebody who has a skill set, of course they're going to be better. He said Darius was right. Darius was right. Yeah, he was able to go to another team and reinvent himself and said, hey, this is what it is. They feel like I'm in the way, then that's cool. But this wasn't what we were supposed to be doing. You know, this wasn't the goal. So, you know, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. They traded him to Boston was the best thing that ever happened to him. You're crazy if you think Ricky could have had half the career LeBron has had. It's not about the career. It's about winning and style of play. If LeBron would have learned how to play with Ricky, they could have won. They could have definitely won. They had the right pieces. All LeBron had to do was learn the game and play the way that they were playing in practice. But they didn't want that. The NBA didn't want that. They didn't care about the wins and losses. They care about LeBron being the face. See, that's the thing. They couldn't have Ricky Davis as the star and LeBron's just building him up till LeBron's ready to be the star. No. It's not what the NBA is marketing. They're paying $20 million plus into this marketing program rollout. They're like, look, we put in over $20 million in marketing before the season started. So imagine what all they spent throughout the year marketing LeBron James. No one's marketing Ricky Davis. Okay? We don't care how great he is. We don't care he can score. You seen what happened tonight? Did you see Dennis Schroeder is better than what's his name? Jalen Brunson. But they don't care about that. Nothing was erratic about him at all. And what's going on with the Lakers right now? They're crying for fouls. The team that has shot almost double of any team in the NBA when it comes to free throws. 2 games they don't get called. They're complaining to the league office. Luka Doncic is averaging 13 free throws a game as an individual. And he's complaining about not getting foul calls. It's incredible. The entitlement. But this is what happens when you create the monsters. Y'all created these monsters. And now you got to deal with it. Oh, yeah, I made a video already. It should probably air tomorrow. So anyway, I'm out. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to go to the Patreon. I did air out Evelyn Lozado. And yeah, that's it for now. Thanking you